Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
Ranking all 30 MLB rotations for 2025. Now, a few caveats, some things I need you to know before we get into these. I used predictions made by Bleacher Report for these rotations. That article came out 1 week ago today. So there's some things have changed, like Nick Pivetta went to the, Padres, and there's a couple recommendations for some older gentlemen, aka Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn, that are out there that are quality options that are probably going to get picked up in the first week or two of spring, in my opinion, and they can be slotted in. So there's some caveats in there as if. But I rank these things not by performance per se, but three main criteria, guys. I have three main criteria. I try to have three main criteria every time I do a breakdown, and this can be a little bit different than you're used to. When you go on MLB TV, usually it's like, I'm going to rank these based on how I feel about it, and I think these guys are good, and I'll compare them to each other. But I have the three categories. We're always going to do three categories. I feel like it's a nice little, way to group these things. And those categories are, we go by innings. Of the 5 projected, honestly, it's 5 to 6 projected, the depth. Of those guys who are projected to throw the most innings for that team, how many total innings do they go deep into games? Is this a 5 and dive rotation, or is there a bunch of injury concern here? Are there guys that have not gone very far into their season? Like, for example, Tyler Glasnow has only thrown 130 maximum in his career. Like, that's not a true ace. So I give him a grade based on how many innings I think their starting pitching can cover on the year. The next category is depth. How many options do you have? How many injuries can you weather? And how quality are those options? That's a little bit of a crapshoot. And to be honest, there's a lot of like, and maybe some relievers or starters, other pitchers that might come off the IL at some point this year that will add more depth. So they're hurt now, but if they're projected to come out, and we talked about all those guys last week. So, like, for example, Spencer Strider is going to add depth to his team, even though he's not on it right now, right? That kind of thing. And then the last category is the playoff 3. Now, anyone who doesn't know what the playoff 3 is, you need 3 strong you need 3 studs when you go into the playoffs. If you have 3 really good starting pitchers, you are well positioned to go on a run in the playoffs. 3. 5 is nice. 4 is great. 5 is wonderful. But usually it's 3. You need 3 workhorses, and then you can work through game 4. You can make a run that way. But you need 3 guys to do their job and not throw clunkers. Okay, and then I graded every team. If I took their top 3, how do I rank their top 3 in a playoff series? So those 3, and then it gives me an overall score. So I hope that makes a lot of sense. Oh my God, it's going to take forever. All right, here we go. Let's just jump right into it. So, because there's 30 teams, the bottom 10, I put into a graph. So get ready for my creation that I made in Photoshop just for you. Number 30, I have the Chicago White Sox. Overall, F. Let me just hit you with some names. I have their names here of some of the guys that are on their team. Let's just put it this way. Bleacher Report's guess for their ace would be Jose Quintana, and he hasn't signed there. They have Martin Perez, Jonathan Cannon, Bryce Wilson, Drew Thorpe, and Edinburgh. So, Chicago White Sox. FFDF. D in innings, because Martin Perez. 29, Colorado Rockies. Overall D, minus, D minus, C minus in innings, and F. The only reason they have C minus in innings is because they still have the 5 guys they've had: Kyle Freeland, Marquez, Santanzella, who were both hurt last year. I already said Freeland, Gomber. It's the same guys they've had literally for the last 6 years, and they had the worst ERA in the league last year. But they get to go ahead of the White Sox because everyone does for everything. I'm just going to throw the White Sox at the end for everything. Milwaukee Brewers. Now, I know you're not going to like this. I know you don't like this D+. Right? I know you don't like it. But tell me the last time the Milwaukee Brewers were projected to be and not very good and were really good. Last year. I was wrong last year. I hope I'm wrong this year. They have Freddie Peralta. Right now, their number 2 is Nestor Cortez. DL Hall is nasty, though. They got a lot of guys that are unproven, and we will see what it comes out to. I just think they were kind of left at the end. I'll talk to Peralta, Cortez, DL Hall, Aaron Savali. Like, Freddie Peralta is a great one, but like if Nestor Cortez and Aaron Savali are your 2 and 3 for the playoffs, you see where I'm getting at here? And then we have Woodruff, who can't stay healthy. A bunch of guys who can't stay healthy. A bunch of relievers. Aaron Ashby can't stay healthy as a starter, but he can as a reliever. Like, the options aren't quite there like they used to be, but they are going to be better than this. I know they are. But they're hard to project. So I gave up, all right? Washington Nationals, number 27. Again, unproven. Now, could they be much better than this? Of course they could. Mackenzie Gore's nasty. Josiah Gray comes off. He's good. Irvin could be even better, right? But you haven't seen a lot out of them yet. They have potential, but they're young, and there's not a lot of track record there. And innings, the C minus, that is strictly because of Trevor Williams. Then in 26, we had the Miami Marlins because they're getting Sandy back. Now, if they didn't have Sandy, the Marlins would be last. They have no Luzardo now. They have Sandy Alcantara in the TP3, taken to a C+. But their number 2 right now is Ryan Weathers. But then again, Myers could be incredible too, right? But we don't know yet. We got to see him actually take that step forward. Lots of potential, not a lot of on paper happening yet. But there's not. This is the 26th team. They're a C+. So I'm pretty complimentary to the rest of the teams on this list. All right. And Yuri Perez won't be back till halfway through the season. But once he comes back, that adds even more depth. Their depth would increase here, but I don't know how long it's going to be, and I couldn't find much on him. Number 25, St. Louis Cardinals. Sonny Gray. Innings eater, Sonny Gray. B+. C minus, Sonny Gray. Then they're rocking Steven Matz. Who knows if he'll be healthy. Miles Michaelis strikes out 5 per 9. He's just not dominant. Right? Palante, and who was the last guy I had here? I know these off the top of my head. And Eric Fetty. It's just there's not a lot of missing bats there. There's a lot of I hope they hit it at somebody. And Sonny Gray's the only guy I'm feeling good about in a playoff game. And that's what it comes down to. Remember, we have those 3 categories. I went on the 3 categories. This isn't overall. This isn't just like how I feel. And they've had injury risk, and they're older. At least in the Michaelis, Sonny Gray, and Eric Fetty side of things. And Matz. They're older, and they've had injury problems. And I don't know a lot about McGreevy and Munoz, who are on the back end. But they might be good. They might be. Number 24, the A's. The A's are running Luis Severino. I love Luis Severino, but I don't think he's an ace. I don't think he's an ace. I think he's a 3, and he will be their ace. Jeffrey Springs, we'll see how he does with the A's, but he's got a sneaky fastball that he can throw up in the zone at 91, and guys can't hit it. But then you add Sears, Spence, and Joey Estes, JT Ginn, Beto, who throws cheese. Hogan Harris could pop in there. So they have a good amount of depth, and it's just it's pretty good across the board. So I would need to see more out of JP Sears. I would need to see more out of like Mitch Spence in order to up these numbers. But that's like, if you could just sit in a nice little C there, feeling pretty good about it. Texas Rangers, overall, a C. C+ in depth, simply because we're still rocking DeGrom, who I love Jacob deGrom more than anybody in the planet, but he's hurt a lot. All the time, actually. So who knows how many innings he can throw? I just don't know. When he's healthy, he's the man. That's why he has an A. If the top three of him, Eovaldi, and Gray are feeling good and cooking at the end of the year, that carries them. But the problem is, all three of those guys got hurt. And there's not a lot back in the back end, in my opinion. There's just not. There's not a lot of depth in the back. They're going to be kind of mixing, matching, trying to get is it Bradford? Where is it? Sorry. These are in the back. They're in the wrong order. Tyler Mahle, he's been hurt. Kumar Rocker, he was hurt. Bradford, he was hurt. Leiter has not been great, and Adrian Hauser's really struggled in the year. Those are their options right now. So outside of DeGrom and Eovaldi, who are both in their late 30s, it's John Gray. You agree? You know what? I don't care if you agree. Okay? I'm right. Angels, 22. Overall, C+. We are rocking Kikuchi, Tyler Anderson, Soriano, Hendricks, probably Silseth or Dakota Hudson at the back. I think Silseth's hurt. I'm not sure how hurt. I don't think he got surgery. But I don't know. I can't remember. There's a lot. This was a lot. This took a long time. Okay? Kyle Hendricks, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get there. Soriano's got a good chance, and I don't know if Kikuchi's a flash in the pan when he leaves the Astros, that things aren't going to be the same. Tyler Anderson's probably going to be their ace. But playoff 3, Kikuchi, Anderson, Soriano, there's some experience there at least, but overall it's a C+ for me.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
Wait, we didn't get the Twins. Sorry. Minnesota Twins, 21. I know, I'm sorry. Shay, I'm so sorry. The Minnesota Twins are 21 for me. This is starting rotation. Remember, their bullpen's really good. But their starting rotation is never something that we go into the season like super excited about. When I was there, I would say we were probably in the 20s. Guys were overperforming, but there was a lot of like throw 5 innings, give it to the bullpen going on. That's probably what's going to happen again. Outside of Pablo Lopez, who took a step back last year, we have Chris Paddock, who did not ever thrown deep into a season ever as a number 5. Joe Ryan ended the season hurt last year. We'll see how he feels. But if he's dialed, he's good. Bailey Ober, again. Stuff-wise, it's hard to figure out. He's got the Chris Young thing going a little bit, though he is a good pitcher. Like, these guys aren't like take over a game type guys. They're eat innings type guys. So I think they're going to eat innings pretty well. That's why I give them a B in innings. But they don't have a ton of depth. Woods Richardson, though, could be great. And if Festa's their 5th or their 6th guy, there's not a lot of nastiness coming. So they're kind of leaning on these guys quite a bit. All right. Now let's get into the middle 10. Let's get into the exciting. This is 10 to 19, or sorry, 11 to 19. 11 to 20, actually. It's 11 to 20. Let's get the middle 10 in there. Let's go. At number 20, we have the San Francisco Giants. Stay with me. Stay with me. Don't panic. Nobody panic. The only reason that I'm worried about the Giants, and it's probably been the thing that's hurt them in the past, is literally hurt. People being hurt. So we have Logan Webb, who I'm a huge fan of. He's their ace. Robbie Ray, coming off TJ, hasn't thrown a full season in 2 years. Justin Verlander was hurt for the last 2 months of last year, and he's 41 years old. Jordan Hicks, hurt at the end of the year. Has never thrown more than like 120 innings in a season. Kyle Harrison is just not performed as well as we think he could have. None of his pitches really grade out very well for me. And I'm not convinced he's going to find that like elite pitch. And he might get hot by Lucchesi for a bit. It's possible. But then we have Joey Lucchesi. We got Black and we got Roop on the back end. Now, all of that said, let's talk a little bit about not a ton of depth, but who knows? It's up in the air for innings because Logan Webb throws lots of innings, but no one else really does. But their playoff three, if these top three guys are healthy and good, I'll take them, right? Logan Webb. So you sneak into the playoffs. If they end up having a great year, then I'm feeling pretty good about the three guys I have going into the playoff series. So that's where they get a little bit of a boost. The Reds are interesting as well. They're also C+ overall, but they're a little bit more across the board. They have Hunter Green. He has no playoff experience. Brady Singer, it's not a number 2 for me, but he's listed as number 2 for them. Brady Singer's got like 4 starter type of stuff. Andrew Abbott still can't explain his success, frankly. He's got some middling pitches. He's a solid throw strikes kind of guy, but nothing's really over the top good. Nick Martinez is going to be in the bullpen or starting. Who knows? He can fill in. He's kind of a I'll do everything type of guy. Not a bad option, and he's a veteran. And Nick Lodolo has the best stuff, or he's close with Hunter, but he's got some of the best stuff in this rotation, but can't stay healthy. So Nick Lodolo, though, could be the key to this. And then same with Ashcraft. If he sneaks in, another guy with great stuff, hasn't quite figured it out yet. So when these guys figure it out, I'll be really excited to watch them. At number 18, the New York Mets. I'm sorry, but this was before Montas went down. So you got Montas down. We're going to throw Tyler McGill, slide him up into 5. We got Kodai Senga, who missed all year last year. So we'll see how rusty he is. Shamanai is going to be great. I'm confident in him. Frankie Montas is now hurt. And honestly, I'm not the biggest Frankie Montas fan. I don't think he has thrown near his potential in like 4 years. He's just been underwhelming since he left the A's. And then we got David Peterson, who pitched really well last year, but got a little lucky. I know DP pretty well. He got good stuff, and he could be electric, and he was a big reason for their big run. So I think he's going to be good too. And I think he's going to set a record for his career in innings. And then Clay Holmes has been a reliever for like 3 years, so we'll see. But he's added the changeup. I'm excited about that. So potentially a great team, potentially. But again, it's kind of like going into last year. We're like, some of these guys got to pan out, and then they did pan out, and then they went to the NLCS. So like any of these teams could just pan out. I'm just not confident that they will. Cleveland Guardians starting pitching. Now, if you disagree with this, I don't know what to tell you. They have had an underwhelming starting rotation forever. Not forever. That's a lie. Back when they had Clevenger and Bauer and Kluber, that was pretty fun. And Bieber, that was a pretty good rotation. But with Bieber starting the year on the shelf, got Tanner Bybee, Gavin Williams, who still waiting to see how he pans out as a starting pitcher. One thing concerns me, he starts the game at 98 and he ends the game at 92. That's not something you want to see from a starting pitcher. Ben Lively, quality pitcher, kind of a just average stuff, and dip dives and dodges him a little bit. I don't know much about Luis L. Ortiz, and Tristan McKenzie really, really struggled last year. He's got good stuff, but he needs to take a big step forward. Right now, I'm banking on them just being like solid, being okay, and them relying on running the bases, eking out runs, and going to that bullpen early. That is what they're going to do. So that's how they're going to win games this year consistently. 16, Baltimore Orioles. Now, that's kind of high. Honestly, going into this, I thought I was going to put them lower because I've been very disappointed in their moves. Right now, they have Zach Eflin listed as their opening day starter. Zach Eflin can't be your opening day starter. He's a good pitcher. He's a solid pitcher. I got to be honest. Early in his career, watching him, I would watch him. I was like watching paint dry. It wasn't very exciting. But he gets the job done. But he's not a strikeout guy. He's a put-it-in-play type of guy. He wants to throw innings. That gave him a little bit of benefit. B+ on the innings because they have Charlie Morton, who has made 30 starts for like 31 years in a row. Dean Kramer could be good, and we'll see what we get out of Sugano. But it says Sugan, but Sugano. Grayson Rodriguez, though, needs to stay healthy. But then again, you add in Bradish, and I believe Means got DFA'd, right? I think. Can't keep track of all this crap. If they had Bradish, this would be a different story. If they signed Burns, it'd be a different story. If they went and traded for Crochet, it'd be a different story. But they didn't. They didn't do any of those things, and they're just okay having a solid middle of the road type of rotation. Oh, Means signed with Cleveland. Well, that's better for their depth. Give them a little boost, even though he won't be back till August. It said so. means. Wow, good for them. Okay, number 15, San Diego Pods. And this is where it started to get really hard, guys. I want you to know. It got really hard to do this. From this point on, this is where I got stuck. I was like, man, I think any of these 15 could be in the top 10 if you could make a case. So we have Padres. We had Cease Darvish King. At the time, Turnbull was thrown, but that will replace him with Pivetta. And then Matt Waldron kind of bringing in the back end here. Depth-wise, though, after Waldron, they're getting a little thin. Good bullpen, really good bullpen. So they still have a really good bullpen. San Diego does. I think they're going to be carried by that, even without Tanner Scott, with Robert Suarez and Jason Adam and that other dude who punches out the world. They're going to be fine, but they're a little bit thin still. So I hope they don't trade Cease. Cease is, and then Yu Darvish is 38 or 39 years old, like at some point, right? And he's been hurt a little bit. So that's who I have in at 15. Now let's get into these top little 14. Let's quick do this one. Toronto Blue Jays, throw them some love. Max Scherzer. Let's go. B minuses across the board. Solid, good rotation, only because I think Kevin Gossman's going to pitch better. Jose Barrios is going to pitch a little bit better than he did last year. They still have Bassett. Bassett and Scherzer back together. We got the old men talking pitching. They make pitching staffs so that they're both around better. And then Bowden Francis is exciting. I think he's a fun guy to watch. I think he's going to lock it up. Then they have Manoah. It's hurt kind of on the side. And some other options. So not a ton of depth, but a little bit of depth. And I just think Gossman's going to pitch better, which moves them into the top 15. That's what I think. But Manoah is hurt. Manoah had Tommy John, so Manoah is still hurt for another probably half the season, I think, or a little bit more than that. Number 12. Wait. I'm confused. Oh, I didn't talk about the Royals. Number 13, Kansas City Royals. Cole Reagans. Big fan of Cole Reagans. Still think he's going to be in the running for the Cy Young this year. Seth Lugo, he builds on last year. I don't think he has as good of a year as he had last year. He's not going to be that on nails, but he's going to be really good. And Michael Wacha, he's the one for me that I'm like, okay, he got the extension, or they re-signed him. We'll see if there's a little bit of regression. I think that Wacha will come down to earth a little bit. And then Chris Bubik and Lorenzen just gets thin. Bubich played out of the bullpen last year. One of those two guys is going to pitch out of the bullpen probably. Henrik Singer was interesting. And I'm not super familiar with the guys coming up, but I'm assuming they have some pretty good guys coming up. Kansas City Royals, though, solid, rock solid team. Not a ton of depth, but solid team with potential to really eat some innings. And I think their bullpen's pretty freaking good. So I think this team's gonna be pretty good. Kansas City, they're gonna be pretty dangerous. Pittsburgh Pirates, number coming in at 12, anchored by their ace Paul Skeens. Now the only reason that they're this high is because innings wise they can only give me a D because we got Paul Skeens who's on an innings limit. We got Mitch Keller who does a pretty good job. He usually gets like 160, 65. Jared Jones only threw like 90. Bailey Falters maxed out at like 130. And Johanna Oviedo has said bounce back. So none of these guys have even gotten even remotely close to 180 innings. Like nobody has. So I don't know how deep in innings. They're still really young. But potentially in a playoff series, if it's a healthy Jared Jones, Paul Skeens, and Mitch Keller, and they feel good and they get into a playoff series, that's scary as hell. That's scary as hell. I would love to see Paul Skeens pitch in a playoff game. Let's just put it that way. We're going to talk about him a little bit later, but he's got so much going on that they've got a lot going on. They're on the up and up, and maybe I'm just being bullish on them. Maybe I'm just excited. It's fun. Number 11, just missing. Guys, these guys were 9, 10, 11, 10, 9, 10, 11, 11, 10, 9, 9, 11, 10. So we're going by track record. There's just a lot of guys who are hurt. Now, I think they're going to end up being like by the end of this year, I think this is going to work out a lot. I think they're going to be really good. But they still have stuff to do before that happens. So let me give you a little example. Garrett Crochet, nails. He's never thrown more than 120 innings. Tanner Houck, he's never thrown more than 135 innings. Walker Buehler, still, it remains to see Walker Buehler comes back to old Walker Buehler status, has not thrown a lot of innings in a long time. So the top three guys haven't thrown a lot of innings lately. Ryan Bayo, I think, is overrated. I'll just say it. He throws a 97 mile an hour, very hittable sinker, and does not miss near as many bats as I thought he should. He got that kind of young Pedro kind of title early, and I think he's fine. I think he's a big league pitcher, but I don't think he's near as dominant as he could be. And then we have Cutter Crawford bringing it in the back, or Giolito, or running a 6-man rotation. They have a ton of depth though, so we have Giolito coming back. They have a ton of depth out in the bullpen. But again, Giolito hasn't pitched in a while. Cutter Crawford hasn't thrown a ton of innings. So I just don't know how many innings they have out of their best guys. But if they're all good, we have Walker Buehler, Garrett Crochet, and Tanner Houck ready for playoffs with Bayo for 4 or Giolito for 4. Pretty good. B- playoff 3 right now. I'll take it. Red Sox are good. I think this is going to be B+ by the end of the year. That's what I think. Houck threw 170 last year, right? Houck threw 170 last year. But he'd never thrown more than 115 before that. All right. And now it's time. For the top 10. I didn't mean to do the buzzer thing. I'm sorry. Here's the top 10. Let's see if you guys can guess. See how good y'all are at guessing. At number 10, the Atlanta Braves. Little thin on depth, but a little high on good top of the rotation. We have a C in depth, B+ in innings. Chris Sale, your reigning Cy Young. Reynaldo Lopez was nasty last year. Spencer Schwellenbach is gross. Grant Holmes, something to be desired. And then we have Lance Lynn. They had Lance Lynn signing when they haven't filled in that fifth spot. But this could be Smith. I have his name right here. Smith Shaver, or Bryce Elder could slide in, or Ian. Oh my God, Ian Anderson. Ian Anderson could slide in there. See, there's a lot of options. They have a lot of options, and then they have Spencer Strider coming back. Inevitably, Spencer Strider brings this back. If Spencer Strider were healthy right now, the playoff 3 would go to a B+ or an A for me. Strider's going to change the deal, and they become very good when he goes in. But we don't know when he's going to be back. It's projected for May. They're kind of wishy-washy. They're not giving me a lot of confidence on that time frame. So I don't know, but I have them at 10 because I think that's still a good rotation, and I think that their lineup is going to bounce back a little bit from last year and be a little bit better. As of right now, though, Chicago Cubs are number 9. Yeah. Shohei Minaga, healthy all year. Justin Steele, that guy is underrated. Justin Steele is a very quality arm that eats innings, and so does Taillon. I am excited about their ability to eat innings in the top 3. They got experience, and they got weird looks. There's 2 lefties and a righty. I think they're all kind of pitching closer to their potential right now, too. So their ceiling isn't quite as high as a lot of these other teams, but they have been more consistent. And then you add Matthew Boyd, who ended the season really strong last year, Colin Ray. These 2 guys are innings eaters. They're going out and they're eating innings, and then Javier Assad could sneak in too. So, it's just solid kind of all the way through. It's just kind of solid. That's why we're B's all the way across. And they have some other guys waiting in the wings. A couple other guys behind Javier Assad. They could do the same thing. So, Chicago Cubs, I'm a little high on them. I don't know if Shota's going to do the same thing, but I think Justin Steele is inevitably going to be their ace. Number 8, the Detroit Tigers. Reigning Cy Young, Tarek Skubal, depth, B+. Jack Flaherty signed. Boom. Alex Cobb, number 3. Reese Olson, solid. He's going to get better. I think that inevitably Jackson Jobe takes that spot from Casey Mize, but Casey Mize is a great depth piece. These guys can throw. They have starters that can pitch. I think Jackson Jobe's going to be gross, though. So, Cy Young, really good pitcher. Nasty. Quality. These two guys together, one of these guys could move up this list really fast, and I like their bullpen. Also, it's nice to cheer for the Tigers. A little part of me, that is. Matt Manning. Matt Manning's also in that conversation. Yes. Matt Manning's also, throw him down below Job. I just put up to 6. There's like 8 for most teams. But Matt Manning also has thrown really well. He's just constantly thrown in and out of that 5th spot. But I'm a big fan. Oh, yeah, and Brent Herter, too. That's another good call. Thank you. All right. Now we're getting into our top 7. Houston Astros. Now, I need you to completely ignore all of these typos. I don't know if I was drunk when I did this. I might have been. Framber Valdez. Guy's been good every year, man. He's good every year. He's sneaky good every freaking year. He's their ace. Hunter Brown was freaking nails at the end of the last year. This team keeps just pushing out the top 3 guys, and Ronald Blanco threw a freaking no-hitter. Like, these 3 guys are just always pitching way better than they should. They also have Christian Javier coming back. They have Lance McCullers coming back. JP Francis hurt, but he's coming back. This is supposed to be Hayden Wisniewski. Instead, I put 2 Ks, which is just really not great. But I think he's a good pickup. JP France probably gets pushed out. Spencer Arrighetti, he threw really well at the end of last year. So it's one of those things where Arrighetti came in and took Verlander's spot and pitched really well at the end of last year. I don't think people noticed how well Spencer threw. He did a really good job. Yeah, these guys are number 8 because I just don't have it in my heart. They came back and they won the division again last year. I don't have in my heart to count them out yet. Do I think they'll take a step back? Yes. I think they're one guy away from breaking down, but they also have a bunch of depth like they always freaking do, and it's disgusting. Number 6, Tampa. An A in depth because it's Tampa. I hate it. But every single guy they got coming throws 99, and it's got some sort of freaking banger breaking ball until they get hurt, inevitably. Shane McClanahan's coming back off Tommy John. We don't know how many innings he's going to throw, but he is a true ace. I like their playoff 3 and Shane McClanahan, Taj Bradley, and Ryan Pepio. Ryan Pepio is a steal. That guy is good. I think he's going to be even better this year. He's got nasty stuff. Taj Bradley was way better. He faded down the stretch, but we saw some really good stuff out of Taj Bradley. Now, I don't know how many innings they're going to throw with Shane coming off Tommy John, and they always have someone get hurt. Drew Rasmussen, Zach Littell, and Shane Baz. And Baz, who knows? Like, injuries are their problem, so that's why their innings aren't great. But if they are healthy, they have good depth, and they got good playoff 3, that gives them a B+. I'll take them in a playoff series. They just have to get there, and that's the question. Are they going to stay healthy enough to get there? And now top 5, Arizona Diamondbacks coming in the top 5. Now, any one of these teams could probably move up or down 2 spots. Like, you can make a case for anybody. Really, they're really good. But in terms of big league talent, this team is scary. Corbin Burns, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly is your 1, 2, 3. Eduardo Rodriguez, healthy Eduardo Rodriguez. We don't know how many innings he's going to give us, but if he's healthy, he's really good. And Brandon Pfaadt has thrown really well. Then they have Henry. They got Jordan Montgomery, who is signed to that big contract still. Who knows if he bounces back. Lots of depth on this team. I like the depth. The playoff 3 goes down to a B+ just because of the way that Merrill Kelly pitches. He's more of a here it is, hit it type guy. Though they did get to the World Series with those guys pitching. So who's to say they can't do it again? This is a really quality starting pitching staff. Really quality. And then adding Corbin Burns kind of really locked it in. I think Zach Gallen being the number 2 on a team should be really scary for the NL West. Number 4, Philadelphia Phillies. Zach Wheeler-Arnola, you heard of him. I know you have. Ranger Suarez. Same top 3 they've had, even though Christopher Sanchez arguably threw better than Ranger last year. Interchangeable. They're very similar pitchers. Christopher taking a step forward big. Your wild card here, Jesus Luzardo. If he's healthy, that's 3 scary lefties throwing bowling ball sinkers. And then we have the big prospect Andrew Painter waiting in the wings, ready to go. That's a good 6. That's a good 6. That's like a really solid. The Phillies, in my opinion, still going into 2025 might be outside of the Dodgers. But the Dodgers can go over there by themselves. We're going to talk about the other 29 teams. Outside of the Dodgers, Phillies are still one of the most complete teams that there are. Brandon Marsh is going to go to center. I like the Phillies. I like that Stott is just taking second. I like that what's his name at third is taking third. I like that they all kind of know where they are. There's not a lot of moving pieces. They do what they do, and now it's just executing at the right time. And that goes the same for the rotation. So that is number 4. They've been a top 5 for a few years. They're going to continue to do that. Alec Boehm, thank you. Well, here's your top 3. New York Yankees. Garrett Cole is healthy. Bona fide ace. Max Fried, huge pickup. Max Fried and Garrett Cole are going to be terrifying if they're both healthy. Honestly, like back-to-back 2 weirdest looks, 2 wildly different looks. Then you add Rendon, who any day could throw no-hitter. Any day could walk 8, but like he could throw no-hitter. He could throw a 1 ERA if he's just dialed. He's just kind of erratic sometimes. And then Louis Heel, reigning rookie of the year. Then we got Clark Schmidt. Throwing cutters. And then Stroh at 6. The problem is, though, in depth, when you hit Stroh, it kind of goes, kind of falls off a cliff a little bit. So, but they're all healthy right now. I'm going to stay confident. I'm going to give you a little bit of goodwill here, Yankees fans. I think they're all going to stay healthy. They're going to be fine. Coming in number 2. Who's the final 2, guys? Who do you think it is? Will Warren. Yeah, he's the next one. Number 2 is the Los Angeles Dodgers. What? Number 2? Yes. We got Yamamoto. We got Blake Snell. We got Tyler Glasnow. We got Roki Sasaki. We got Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin would count as one starter, in my opinion, right now. I love him. I really like this guy. He's got a great last name. But they've been hurt. We had a torn esophagus last year. I still don't know how that happens. Tony Gonsolin's thrown like 250 innings in 6 years as a starter, right? So there's some question marks, but there's so much depth. So these guys are number 2. They have way more depth than they ever had. They've got Kershaw coming back now. Then they got Kasparius, and they got Bryce Miller. Not Bryce. Yeah, Bryce. Bobby Miller. Bobby Miller. River Ryan's hurt, but he's around. Like a lot of young guys too that could be valuable for this team moving forward. Just tons and tons and tons of depth. The problem is innings with me. B- in innings. Like I mentioned earlier, Tyler Glasnow never thrown more than 130. Roki Sasaki coming from Japan, 6-day rotation. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, I think he's going to throw more innings. Blake Snell notoriously has an innings thing. So there's no like guy who's going to throw 8. They don't have their Corbin Burns, but they're all really good. So their stuff wise, they're incredible. But the team that has put it all together, your Seattle Mariners. Now, when this team goes 82-80, it's going to be because of these guys. I got to stop talking shit. I don't know what's happening to me. I've been retired for a year. It's not their fault. I'm not going to give them shit. I just think it's their management's fault. But anyway, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Louis Castillo. And then you go Bryce Miller and Brian Wu. Same 5 guys. It's always those 5 guys. They all stay healthy. No one's gotten hurt yet. Now, there's a ticking time bomb. We'll see. But Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, and Louis Castillo, I'll take them as a 1-2-3 against anybody. I'll take them against the Dodgers. I'll take them against the Yankees. I'll take them against the Orioles. I'll take them against everybody, those 3 guys. George Kirby, it is inevitable he wins a Cy Young. It is inevitable. Bryce Miller, it's just going to come down to throwing enough innings, and same with Brian Wu. But they don't let them go as deep because the other 3 guys go so deep. Like, which is kind of a weird thing. If you're Miller, you're like, come on, man, I can throw 8 every time. But you got to throw your bullpen at some point. Right? So, unfortunately, they didn't sign any position players. So runs are going to be coming to premium, but I do believe they have the best rotation in the major leagues going into February 17th, 2025. Now, any of this could change, but this is my number one team this year. Is it a little bit biased? Sure. I'll say it. Yes. But those are my starting rotation rankings for 2025. Let me know down in the comments what you think and why everything I said was exactly right, because I know everything. Kirby gave up the most hits. We got to throw the most innings. He did give up a lot of hits. You're right. I think he messes around a little bit too much. But stuff-wise and command-wise, it's just a matter of time.